All right, we are going to learn how to take a photograph and turn it into a two-dimensional painting, similar to the way artist Alexa Meade takes three-dimensional objects and paints on top of them to turn them into a two-dimensional painting. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take a photo. You want to try and get some corners and edges in. So I've already got a photo in here that I'm going to use. So here's a picture of my son, and in this area we can see a corner of the walls, so that will help us change directions. We see different angles and movements within the couch, and so I've got areas where I can change direction within my drawing, and so we're going to look at how that works. So we're going to use the app Sketches School for this. So let me scroll through and find my Sketches School. Here it is. It is a white box with a blue pen in it or marker. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I want to always have a fresh page, so I'm going to go ahead and open up a blank document. Once I'm in Sketches School, I need to get my picture in. So I'm going to start up here at the three dots, and when I click on those, I get several choices. This is the one I want. It is the box with the arrow pointed down, and I'll click on that, and then I'm going to come down to photo because I've already taken the photo. You might want to take 5 or 6 pictures of somebody sitting on a couch, sitting in a chair, standing by a door, and then look and see which one you feel is going to be the best one to work. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to find the photo. This is the one I'm going to work with. And right now, the way it has come in, it is way too small. It's not filling my page. So I can double click with my fingers to enlarge it. I can kind of move it around. And then here at the bottom, this is gonna adjust our transparency. So I can make it completely visible. I can make it kind of light. I can have it full color. Be with it the way that it is. I'm going to hit here on the check mark, and that's going to lock the photo in place for my editing. We have several different options to work with for our drawing, and we can change the thickness using these areas here, and down here is where I can change the color. The cool thing about this is the color can be completely separate from what it is in reality, okay? So I'm going to make my couch in different shades of green. So I'm going to start with my darkest, and I'm going to focus on the darkest areas of my couch and different ways that it is moving. I like to outline my shapes. The reason I like to outline them is because it makes it nice and easy to figure out where I need to change the direction in my brush strokes. For that, I am going to use the skinnier marker, and I'm going to use a smaller size dot. And so I'm coming around here, and I'm outlining the shape of my seat cushion, defining the lines in it. Even here where that blanket is meeting up, it gets kind of lost in the shadow in there, and that's okay. I've got some edges here, following those seams that are created, and I come through and I outline all of the pieces, all of the edges. All right, so again, we decided this marker was going to be the one to work the best for me. So I'm going to start with my shadows, the darker areas that I naturally see in the picture. The edge of the arm of the couch here looks as if it's moving up and down. Here it looks almost like it's moving left to right. And this couch kind of helps because there are lines happening in there. So it's kind of going to help us with the movement. So I'm going to work on the edge in here. And I just want to start kind of focusing in those shadows. And I love that as I overlap, I get darker tones coming in and filling that area up. Quick, simple, easy. Here in the seat cushion, it looks like it's moving this way. Same with this one. So I'm going to bring my brush strokes down, and again, I'm focusing in my shadowed areas right now. Where is it darkest? And the more I overlap and focus on those shadows, the darker those marks become with this particular tool. Over here in this area, I'm going to work where these cushions should be put together, and it looks like it's moving this direction. It's really going to be kind of dark in there. And the more I overlap, the darker that green becomes. And so I want to just do this in all my shadowed area. I'm going to come in, I'm going to change my color using a lighter green. And I'm going to start getting some lighter sections in here, all creating the different movements. I can overlap some of that lighter into the darker. And it's just all about filling in the spaces with these strange lines. Again, this isn't necessarily the way that this moves, but this is the way I'm going to make it move so that we see the face of the seat cushion. Okay, from here I think that I've pretty much flattened out the couch. I've focused on the shadows, and I've made that couch look like a two-dimensional painting. Now, my son looks weird because he's still looking real. The blanket looks weird because it's still looking real. So I can come in and I can change things up. I'm going to keep the blanket blue. Blue and green I think are going to look fine together. I can select any kind of blue that I like. And for my blanket, I want it to look softer. So I think I'm going to change, and I'm going to work with the paintbrush and on a smaller scale. Right, so you can keep working and pushing your colors. I'm not totally satisfied with that blanket, but I'm frustrated with it, so I'm going to come back and look at that later. And I'm going to work on my sun. So there are colors down at the bottom here that remind me of skin colors a little bit. And I could even work with some of these tones in here to start to show some things. When I create the skin tones and work on the arms, the legs, the face, I do want to work in a very small brush. I'm going to start with a darker color so that I can get the shadowed areas. And same idea, just making it look as best as I can, turning him into a flat, two-dimensional looking painting. And if I really want to get in there and get up close and personal with the face, I can always use 2 fingers to zoom. And that's going to really help me focus on the features. These eyes are kind of closed, so we're going to just make them close with these lines. So as I continue to work on the face, now that I've zoomed in, I can continue to really push those shadows. I can add lighter, brighter colors to accentuate highlights. And then I can start to work on the hair and some of the finer details. I can zoom in throughout the entire picture as I'm working to make things easier, or I can zoom out. It depends on my personal preference. For him, I'm going to give him some fun, red, bright, vibrant hair. In this corner, there is this eyeball, and I love the eyeball. The reason I like that is because if I click on it, it removes my picture. So I can kind of see my overall project and where I'm at in my progress. So I'm starting to see arms in here, okay? But I definitely could work. My fingers are disappearing, and I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe I don't have enough of an arm, and I forgot all of the clothing areas and things like that. So that is cool. And then if I click on it again, it opens it back up, and it brings me to my screen that shows the picture so I can continue working. I am going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'll show you my finished product and talk to you about some of the things that I did in the end. So for my son's pants, I decided to keep them gray. So I worked with different gray scales and trying to follow the shape and the movement, the way the knee bends and the leg bends. For his shirt, I decided to work with reds, and it was important to accentuate the dark highlights in the armpits and around the book so that the shirt would stand out proper. So at this point, I open it up and check to see how it's appearing, and I decide that there's a lot of white spots left in. So I decided to use the paintbrush that is a very light, almost transparent and see-through, and I went over in the same directions of all of the lines that I created, and it helped to just fill in the space so that when I'm done, I don't have a lot of white standing out, but I have a very light green filling in those white spaces in the couch. I did this within the pants and the blanket and the shirt, everywhere where I needed to really get color finalized. I decided to continue with that brush when I started to work on the walls so that I could get a base color in. And with that paintbrush, you also would notice that the colors start to darken every time you overlap. And I chose purples for my walls. The wall behind him was lighter, so I worked with lighter purples. And the wall on the side of him was darker, so I worked with darker purples. You'll also notice that the materials and tools are moving around because I can turn my iPad and rotate it to open up areas and have the ability to work without getting those tools and things in my way, and to make sure that I was covering all areas within that picture. My final step is removing the picture from my background to make sure I'm complete. Once it's done, I want to make sure that I am saving it as an image and uploading to Artsonia.